Chapter 1101 just dropped for Viz. I just read it and I loved it. Let's talk. Also, one of my predictions was correct, and that doesn't happen to me very often, so I'm super excited to talk to you about that. But first, a shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs creates each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Factor might be my one true love. The convenience of being able to pop a meal in the oven and have it ready in 7 minutes, or the microwave if you need it really fast. And it's so delicious every time is incredible. I have a habit of being very lazy with my lunch because I'm working, I need to grab something and go. And having something that's healthy and delicious and quick, that's a balance that's just really hard to strike. So this holiday season, if you want some nutritious, flavorful meals that'll fuel you on jam-packed days, Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. And it can help you with breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You can choose from over 35 weekly, flavor-packed, fresh, never-frozen meals that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences. And Factor isn't just for dinner. They have over 55 add-ons that suit various preferences and tastes. You can get breakfast items, lunch on the go, grab-and-go snacks, ready-to-go cold-pressed drinks, shakes, and smoothies. I love Factor and highly recommend it. So, head over to factor75.com or use the link in my description and use my code MurphyNapier50 to get 50% off your first box. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you for checking them out. So we left off with Kuma going to the East Blue to do what? We don't know, but then we see that he's checking in on Luffy, who's practicing and training hard. Our sweet little Luffy, who got the gum fruit and was weakened because of it. He has been working so hard to make his fruit worthy to be to be a combat fruit. And we have this conversation with Kuma and Dragon. Dragon is at least acknowledging that his son is a weakness to him. He's at least acknowledging that me being someone who is in battle right now, someone who is trying to take down some pretty large forces in the world, I can't let my son be seen as a vulnerability. I can't check in on him. I can't go and visit him because I don't want the people against me to know that they can use him against me, because they can, because he is a weakness in my armor, which is nice to see him acknowledge. I mean, we already knew that he was probably checking in on Luffy. He showed up at the execution stand, so we already knew that he was kind of keeping tabs on him. It's nice to see him actually acknowledge, listen, I care about this kid. And I can understand being the highest person in the Revolutionary Army, feeling like, okay, I have to distance myself from the people that could have a target put on their back if anyone finds out that, you know, they're attached to me, they're my family. It was really nice having that acknowledgement. Anyway, Kuma has been writing some letters. He's been writing a lot of letters, about 10 a month, for about 6 months to his daughter, letting her know what he's up to and how much he cares about her. Now, the agreement was that Kuma can't have contact with Bonnie. Now, was the agreement you can't see her? Was it you can't have any contact whatsoever to include letters? I don't know how extensive this agreement was. I wonder if maybe Kuma actually asked permission. Like, did he actually say, can I send her letters? And they were like, yeah, go ahead. Send her letters, because they knew that they would just intercept them. But I have to think that Kuma, at least to some capacity, got clarification that this was not going to break the agreement, because there's no way that he would risk getting her enslaved because he wanted to send letters. But anyway, wow, way to make me hate a character real fast, because Oda's been hitting the emotions so well in this flashback, but seeing that Bonnie now has to grow up without her father, and he's been writing her letters, doting on her, sharing his love with her, reminding her how valuable she is to him, and not only is she not getting the letters, but she's now sitting here crying, believing that he's not writing to her at all. Seeing Alpha look so disgusted at the thought of Kuma doting on her, seeing her so disgusted that he's a sap, she called him. I'm surprised he hasn't run out of things to write. What a sap. As she rips the letter to shreds and throws it in the bin. Way to make me hate her so fast. Oh my goodness. I despise this woman. What a hateful, nasty, vile creature. And we see Kuma, who is going under the operations, learning about how much time he has left, that Vegapunk is going to, I'm going to make certain that you can maintain a bare minimum of your conscious thought right up to just before the end. That should give you another year, I suppose. And then Kuma's just like, perfect. I'll keep sending her letters. I have a lifetime of love to share with her over this year. And knowing that he is so excited to have the chance to continue to love his daughter from afar for just a little bit longer, and that love is not only being put away, but it's actually being ripped up so she can't even find it. Thank goodness she has these memories to be able to see now, to be able to see how much he tried, and what was in those letters, and how much love he put in those letters through the memory bubble that she saw. But this panel of her after her birthday party, eating the pizza, celebrating, being happy, and then after the party when everyone's asleep, searching for letters, and then just saying, "Don't you know I'm 9 now, Daddy? You said you'd write me letters." And this is the art piece that my artist drew this weekend. My artist was busy over the weekend and so had to draw a simple piece, but it's incredible. Bonnie crying as she's waiting for her father's letters, but they're being torn to shreds and kept from her. This captures the emotion that Bonnie went through so well. The pain and loneliness that she felt even in the midst of being doted on by the people who were caring for her, because the one that she cared about the most, the one that she wanted, the one that she was waiting for, even his words were being kept from her. If you watch the live stream that I just mentioned that we filmed over the weekend, you know I project myself onto Bonnie pretty hard. So scenes like this, I mean, Oda just writes them so well. He just really digs into the pain that these characters are feeling and how much these relationships mean to them. And it hurts so much to see Bonnie have lost so much already and still to have this kept from her, to still feel like, why don't you want to write to me, Dad? Connie too is a character that I just love now. Not only was she the one that was caring for Bonnie and giving her love and throwing this big party for her, making her this giant pizza, like she was the one that kind of gave Bonnie reprieve in the midst of all this, but also she also kept from Alpha what Bonnie's abilities were. Smart gal. And then the secret agents got drunk and spilled their plan, which I know Oda's trying to make this flashback tight, but we could have thought of something better than that. But anyway, they got drunk and they spilled their plans, so Connie conveniently knew the plot now. So she passed it on to Bonnie, and Bonnie being able to slip out looking like Connie, and then Alpha comes in and she's like, "Connie was just there. What you doing here?" And Connie's like, "It's me, I'm Bonnie," like just trying to stall for time. I just love her. She has become, like, she's gotten so little page time, but she is the one that's cared for Bonnie when Kuma couldn't, and she's also been quite a few gags that I've found quite funny, so I love Connie. She's amazing. But anyway, they made Bonnie's getaway ship a pizza, which is just adorable. And then we come to the final bit of this chapter, which is Alpha going after Bonnie and Bonnie remembering what Kuma told her, which is, she said, "Hey Daddy, what does Nika look like?" And he said, "Well, what no one really knows, but it said his body has properties like rubber, and he fought however he fancied." Listen, I don't get a win very often, so I'm gonna take like 10 seconds to brag on this one. I have been saying for weeks that I think that Kuma knows that Luffy was Sun God Nika. He knew the lore of Nika. He knew the lore of the great liberator, the one who would bring liberation to the Buccaneer people. So being able to identify this reincarnation, this version of the today's Nika made sense to me. And when we found out that that the Buccaneers looked for Nika to come and save them, I said that I thought that that explained why Kuma looked after the Sunny, why he spent 2 years protecting their ship. And it was because, not because he knew Luffy was Dragon's son, which he did, but because he knew that Luffy was Nika before we did, before Luffy did, before anyone realized it. He had the lore. He had the, whatever you want to call it, the prophecies for Sun God Nika, and he knew who he was waiting for, and he was able to identify him. I said it! I think I even said it again in my last chapter review. I very rarely get a win because I'm not a very good theorizer, so that felt good. Anyway, the point of that was for Bonnie to remember the way Kuma described Nika, and then for Bonnie to do it, to have rubber properties. We already knew that Bonnie was able to essentially age someone up in an alternate timeline. Like, this is you old according to if you continued to train really hard and be an amazing fighter even as an old person, and this is you as an old person if you just kind of let yourself go. So we already knew she had that ability, but being able to understand the properties of a devil fruit, even just a little bit, just like it makes you have the properties of rubber, and then create an alternate future where she has those properties, the implications on this are bonkers. And I'll be fully transparent with you. I did not recognize what this was when I first read this page. My patrons explained it to me while I was streaming, but the implications of this are bonkers. Can she do this with any devil fruit? Assumedly so. Can she put that on other people? Like age up someone else, but give them the properties of being able to turn into sand, being a Logia for sand? If she does, is that temporary? Probably. This is the most insane devil fruit reveal that we've seen in a while. I mean, Bonnie can do pretty much anything at this point with this kind of reveal. But along with that, Bonnie kind of has a Luffy moment in this chapter, because the person who we hate, the person who's being despicable in this chapter, Alpha, Bonnie punches her in a very Luffy to a Celestial Dragon-esque way. We get to see the person that's the most punchable character that we all hate, and Bonnie gets to deliver that punch. She gets to be the one to do the thing that we would all appreciate doing. And look at that impact. Like, look at how hard she hit that woman. Hit her again. Because one of my just gut instinct, it feels like it. It feels like Kuma should know that Luffy is Nika. Because that worked out for me, I'm gonna do another. I don't really have any basis for this. This is just how I feel theorizing. I wonder if possibly there's more to them trying to keep Kuma and Bonnie apart, more to it than just, I don't want you to run off with your kid, or like, I don't want this to interfere with anything. I just want to keep you two apart until I erase your consciousness and you become a mindless machine. I wonder if there's something more to it. Like maybe Vegapunk is able to distort who Kuma is, or remove the essence of who Kuma is, except for like the core, most central part of him has to stay the same and can be nudged. Like it's a normal storytelling trope when someone's personality is removed, when they forget who they are and kind of they're melded into something else. It's a common storytelling trope that they are this other person and they like start hating, or they start being numb, they start becoming a killing machine, but they're able to be pulled out of it by the person that they love the most, or by the attachment that's the strongest to them. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's something that comes up a lot in storytelling. And so I do wonder if, since Kuma's key thing is he has been selfless his entire life, constantly giving to others, but it was with Bonnie that he started being selfish. Selfish in the sense that he stopped giving to everyone else so that he could give everything to her. So it's not really selfish, but it was when he had Bonnie that he said, okay, I'm going to quit the Revolutionary Army because I have to give all my attention to my kid. And it was for Bonnie that he happily gave everything up for. It was all for her. So his love for her is the strongest emotion. It's the strongest attachment that he has. So when the Celestial Dragons are trying to strip away everything about him, maybe that strongest attachment can't be fully stripped away, and they're trying to keep them apart because of that attachment, because seeing Bonnie, spending time with Bonnie, I know Bonnie saw him in Sabbaty Archipelago, but as far as we know, they didn't actually like talk. So I wonder if they had some sort of connection. I wonder if that would maybe awaken something in him that has been suppressed through whatever it is Vegapunk did. I don't know. I could be really off base. That's just me kind of thinking through some things. Some other things that were really interesting that were brought up in the stream that I did on the Patreon. One of my patrons, Cheetah, brought up that said, what if Bonnie's ability can undo the eternal age surgery? So that's really interesting, because if Bonnie can do that, then that could also be, we know that the Celestial Dragons, or rather that the Elders, we know that Saturn can self-heal. If he's, let's say, stabbed in the chest, then he could easily heal himself. So, but if Bonnie, we saw in a previous chapter, we saw Bonnie age someone to the point that they turned skeletal and then snapped back. Some people say that that was a vision. I personally don't think that that was I don't think that that was an idea projected onto him. I think it actually happened. We don't know for sure. Maybe the anime will clarify, but to me it looked real. But regardless, if that was real or not real doesn't really matter that much. The concept of that is what I'm trying to grab at and say, she could do this to Saturn. Like, she could remove, as Cheetah said, she could remove the eternal age thing, the eternal youth that's on them, and then make Saturn his actual age, and we could watch like a tangled, shriveling up, the extremely old person that's using eternal youth, watch them become their age, and then they like shrivel up and then turn into sand, basically. You know, from the movie Tangled, you know what I'm talking about. Surely you watch Disney movies in your spare time. Another really interesting thing that was brought up by Jordan is that Kuma could take all the pain out of himself, use the pawpaw to pawpaw all of his pain out of himself and put it on Saturn. So all the pain that has been that has been given to Kuma over a life, from being enslaved, being physically harmed by the Celestial Dragons that were like, look, I have a buccaneer. The pain from the battles that he did defending other people, the emotional pain that he got from losing Ginny, and from how he had to watch Bonnie suffer, and then how he had to be removed from Bonnie, all of the physical pain that he had while he was on Sabbaty Archipelago, and all the time that he has had being under the Celestial Dragons when they've harmed him and treated him as subhuman. All of this pain he could take off of himself and put that on Saturn, and that's the way that he weakens Saturn. How thematically awesome would that be? Like, not only would that be really cool from a hype perspective, like Kuma does that just to get him weak enough that other people, like Luffy, could come in and finish him off with a great fight, but like that could get him to the point where he can go toe-to-toe, where Luffy can go toe-to-toe with him. Not only would that be so cool from a hype perspective, but from a thematic perspective, the thing that weakens Saturn is the pain that he's wrought on Kuma. How awesome would that be? I really want that to be what happens. I've said it a dozen times, I'll say it again. Thriller Bark had one of the best ending battles of an arc in One Piece. Most arcs end with Luffy Big Punch, and Thriller Bark did too, but we got to the point of Luffy Big Punch by the crew working together, calling out moves. Chopper, you get the left arm, I'll get this, and working together to weaken the baddie so that Luffy could come in and finish the show. I want the crew to be involved, especially because the crew kind of has been sidelined for this entire arc, so I'd love for them to be involved in the battle, but I think it would be amazing to have Kuma and Bonnie be involved in this in one way or another as well. Like, if Kuma being near Bonnie were to unlock part of his consciousness again so he can have one more fight and he can do that, the putting his pain on Saturn, and Bonnie can use her incredible abilities, be it the aging thing or be it taking on any old devil fruit, apparently, the properties of any devil fruit. The crew working together, and Luffy finishing him off, absolutely, he's the hero of the story, but just more of a teamwork effort would just be amazing. Especially for an opponent as powerful as Saturn, having a team effort, I just would love to see it. Anyway, this was an amazing chapter. We had the emotional beats, we had the incredible lore reveal for more information on what happened with Vegapunk and how he changed Kuma and what the reasoning was for the different steps of it, as well as Bonnie's devil fruit. Oh my goodness, that opens up so many doors. Like, this series could do anything at this point. A lot of people are saying that Bonnie is going to join the Straw Hat crew. I tend to agree. Even if she doesn't join the crew, I do think that she's probably going to be at least sailing with them for the rest of the series. Whether she's an official crew member or not doesn't really matter. The fandom's gonna call her one. But I do still think that, you know, Kuma is going to die in this battle, and it's gonna suck. Anyway, this was an amazing chapter. I hope you enjoyed it too. I would love to hear what you thought of it. Chat with me more about the many things that happened. I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the book channel. This Saturday, I will have a stream with some of my friends talking about To Your Eternity, only up to where the anime is caught up, not going into beyond with the manga. I'm going to be talking with Philip as well as with our friend Alan, who is anime only. So that should be fun. Show up if you like the series or if you don't. And be sure to chat with me more about this chapter in the comments. I'll see you again soon. Bye.